Some fled to the west into Romania and Hungary and became the Gypsies. The rest followed their monarch, the Chagan, up into the steppes of Russia and north of there to the Caucasus Mountains. And as they settled in there, they quite easily enslaved the relatively peaceful agrarian Slavic folks that were indigenous to the area. Then they came under pressure to take sides in a growing contention around them. Coming down from the north was Eastern Orthodox Christianity, and coming up from the south was Islam. And they knew that if they succumbed to pressure from either of those to join their organization and embrace their philosophy, it would surely offend the other. And so what they did was a politically expedient maneuver. He called in all the religious leaders of the area, and he got their input, and after the input, he announced, for me and my people, we're talking about 20 million people and about 4,000 nobility, for me and my people, we choose to become Jews. Now, this was not a heartfelt conversion. This was not something that was deep in their breast that they felt they needed to make a conversion.
And you find all these videos from the small hats saying that, oh no, they wasn't us, if they converted, like whatever. That's the whole point, that we're telling you, that it was a fake conversion, but it was like, at the end they ended up ruling the whole small hat community.
Because they thought that was the proper way to serve the Creator. This was something that was done as a political expediency. And in the course of studying about their new religion, and you do have to study it, even if you're only going to charade, it is absolutely necessary to study about it so that you can fake it. And in the course of doing so, they came across the character with whom they could truly identify. It was Lucifer, the morning light, that fell from grace and became Satan, the adversary. And they formed an inner...
But you don't say what year. I mean, like, come on. Because I know the Babylonians, they was also... I mean, I don't know if it was the same one, but they go, for the most destructive spirits, and... besides that, they're very like superstitious and stuff, that's why they love chocolate, in Switzerland, you were like Swiss chocolate, that's the best chocolate, like why are they so obsessed with chocolate? Because they believe if they eat this black substance, they're gonna get the superpowers of the Africans. That was it. It's just and also with all these Balenciaga and stuff like that. Of course, they put the face that is like a mini Neanderthal, right? But they know, they really go like, the walnut sauce. I forgot exactly what that is. Nasty, like, oh, I mean, it's just not nasty, it's just macabre, disgusting. Dictionary, what they call shit, like fried fish. Fried fish is human meat. And they had the video with Madonna saying, let's go eat fried fish, fried fish, fried fish. It's like, I'm like, why is this bitch is like coming out with that? All of a sudden she's like Caribbean. Does she love the fried fish? Just too many coincidences. I don't want to believe any of this because, they are the great deceivers. Like they say, they think it's righteous to mislead people. Just like the lamb is, the lamb is backwards. They're backwards people. totally backwards, and they justify, that because it's like we go back to the same thing, supremacism, and all these Tartaria or Truther, whatever videos, they're all like, we're not supremacists, but it was like, it was the Irish. It's like, I'm like, okay, can you substantiate, how that happened? How it's like, oh, Stonehenge, okay, like they got this video that even like, oh, in Mexico, we built everything in Mexico and South America, and it's like, it was just another scam to center themselves as the star of the movie. It's like psychopaths, so pathetic.
Inner circle within
People let
Judaism
'em.
dedicated to the forces of evil. Let's define terms. What is a Jew? If you look back in your Old Testament, your Bible, there was 12 Hebrew tribes. The 10 northern tribes are called the House of Israel. The 2 southern tribes were called...
Once again, another coincidence, right? I mean, that one is just pointing out the obvious. The 12 houses, the 12 constellations, the 12 zodiac signs, the 12 apostles, the 12 tribes, the 12 this. It's just like, it's allegoric. Everything is allegoric, but when there's a buck to be made, that's where you're going to find the Neanderthals.
called Benjamin and Judah, more properly pronounced Judah, because we didn't get the harder sound to the J until about 200 years ago. So,
and what's the first thing, when you hear about Judah or Judah, whatever, because yeah, that's right, the J, they didn't have J somehow. And now look at them, all the Arabs is like, the Germans too, the Spanish, the shameless Arab, you listen to speak, they go hala 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 hala. You can see it's all etymology, semantics, or whatever you want to call it. Every word, it's like a map. It tell you, where it just got, all that stuff. So it's like to say, like, the Anahuac, well, they call it Mexico nowadays. So, I mean, it was not Europeans. This was the same Arabs, that they took over, the Moors, they went for, they all got, I'm sure I have not read any of the conferences like Nicaea or Berlin or but I'm sure it's there. If I was to read it, it is right there. We all gonna go for whitewashing everybody. I have pictures, of the original Arabs, this beautiful color. And in 100 years now, they all look like Latin Americans, except with a big nose and gorilla body hair. What's that with all? Well, I guess in the desert, I guess they need all that hair. I don't know. Ew. Anyway.
So this is what I would call real Jews, people from the tribe of Judah.
Jews.
And when we start talking about the New World Order, we are not talking about these people at all. We're talking about these Khazar warriors that only pretended to embrace Judaism. And so today, we find that about 92...
This is from day one. I mean, he is either misinformed or like, it's from day one. Like I put in that marathon, I put another marathon of 10 hours with this, he looked like a Catholic priest or some shit like that. And he talked about all the symbology, like, why everybody wear a black robe. the priests, the graduates, and and the mortar, is square. That's another Saturn. This is all Saturn worshiping. This is like part of the deals they made with this entity, Bell or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. And we are all worshiping it, whether we realize it or not. They put it all. There was this other guy, or was it the same guy that just played you? I think it was the same, and this is gonna come in one time. This is why you gotta listen several times. He talked about, Germany. It's another BS. Do not exist, because it's just freaking whatever, Arab, Lamis, or whatever you want to call it. He's still like, even in French we still call it for the original name. Well, if it's not the original name, it's the name that started the whole demonic shit. Alaman, Alaman. In my native tongue, we call it Alemania. We call it Alemania. It's like, but it wouldn't be a big stretch of the imagination to learn, that they actually switched, from Alemania. And they talk about the original name also of Europe too, but I don't know if that's true. I forgot what it was, but it's all Allah. And then you come, the mind started like saying like, yeah, why is it that they go postal, and if you say something, or if you make a drawing of their God, why is it only have representations, like in a rock, or I don't even know, like a cube? And he said that's where the name Cuba come from, Cuba, a cube. I mean, like, it is so much crap, and and it's this symbiosis, from England to whatever, Qatar or whatever and people, they don't put them together. It's like we lost the capacity to associate ideas. Time and time again, we see that the enemy, it's like this with a lot of things that is literally killing us. But we continue, to play dumb. Like they say, there's only 3 main coping modes, right? Either you fight, or you flight, or you play dead. And we're all playing dead right now. We all like, we got all this information, and we are like frozen instead of like saying, well, because obviously, all these hood rats are also church rats, so they always like, and the mother, who is supposed to be like, well, she's just supposed to be the mother. Now she's trying to, to be everything. So there's no man to go say like, hey, somebody with a pair to go and confront their priest. It's like, what is it, like all these bullshit symbols you have in church? Why you have to put on a dress? Why you have to, like, whatever? That's bullshit, like, and then they go out in the street and they have the black robe underneath. Always they have the black robe underneath. You know, the Brotherhood of Saturn. That's what he said it is, the Brotherhood of Saturn. Like, I mean, it's just a lot. It is just a lot that, you know, that you know, we could be talking instead of bullshit, you know, pop culture. You know, what is it that they're popping?
92% of the people who claim to be Jews really aren't. They don't have a drop of Semitic blood in their veins.
And
They are Khazar
what you gonna do
warriors
about it?
with a new bent on life
Beg it.
and a
You just talk about
goal
it.
to conquer, to rape, and to pillage. And that
And they allow them, they welcome them. Why? Because, you know, they choose, you know, all these Neanderthals and their peons, they choose psychopaths because they like the privilege. They like the white privilege that they get all over the planet. It's like, you know, people over there on Twitter saying that, you know, like, oh, you know, oh, poor Ukrainians, like, really? I mean, it was not like a couple of years. This was like 100 years of making it a cesspool of, you know, Satanism, racism, neo-Nazism. I mean, like, all this stuff. That was the capital. That was Mariupol. I knew Mariupol was the capital of neo-Nazism myself a long time ago. Even Madonna, she said she got, when she first started, she had a girlfriend, another girlfriend, you know, because they are like insatiable, you know, they have anything that move. And on her own admission, she got a whole book, SEX, and she's with a dog. I mean, like, you cannot make this shit up. They're telling you we are different, we are Neanderthals, we like crazy shit. They have retreats when they go walk in all fours because they can feel themselves again. Retreats. I've seen the videos. I mean, like, nobody can, like, I mean, like, I know there's deep fake or whatever, but, you know, I mean, I'm talking about, and they want to tell us because they want us to love them the ratchet, sick, perverted ways they are. Because they're never satisfied with nothing, you know, like, this is why they're always so satisfied, because they're like, yeah, we control the world, but it's like, you know, but they don't love us the way we are, you know, satanic, you know, pedos, you know, pizza eaters, you know, fried fish eaters, you know, all the sick, perverted stuff, you know. I mean, you know, I was like, sometimes I remind myself about my other lives, you know, and, you know, I remember I met some Neanderthals that didn't want to have sex, and I was like, I mean, you don't want to have sex? It's like, what is it? No, because they wanted to, you know, when I first came to New York City, I met this germ, you know, famous-ish photographer, Hankenmeyer, Franz Hankenmeyer, some shit like that, and like I say, I didn't know shit. Because, you know, I didn't go to school, and, you know, I mean, the little bit I went to school, it was not in the nation's capital, you know, which everything is centralized. So, and you know, like, whatever, you know, I mean, but then I heard, you know, he was saying to poop on him. I kind of have heard already, you know, in Chicago, that they was like very sick because I was in Chicago 3 years, and I was like, never again, never again. You know, and he told me that, you know, one of his tricks stole like all his portfolios, you know, then with the, I guess back then they used to have negatives or something. I don't know, that he had just been wiped out. That's another thing. They don't like to have sex with their own. You gotta wonder why. I was like, I wanted to get a nice picture, but not like that, you know. I mean, like, I was talented to, you know, because I mean, they're talented in a way, you know, like singing. They can hit every note, the right time. If it's 1/16th, it's 1/16, and they're obsessed with that, you know, like, no. You know, that's how I finally was starting to learn about music. I always wanted to learn music, but I never had a good teacher. I had a good teacher, like, finally, like 20 years ago. She said, just imagine, just clap and count. 1, 2, or, you know, like one. It was like, imagine it. That helped me visualize, you know. It's like, what is it they meant? That is 1/8, you know, 1/2 of the times, and like, what is, like, yeah, just go. You know, you're singing it, that note is supposed to last this long. Okay, it's too late. Imagine if I had learned that stuff when I was little. I probably would be I mean, not famous, but I can sing. I don't know. But I always wanted to read music. I always wanted to read music because I thought that was like, oh, that's the only way. You gotta learn to read music. Yeah, bullshit. You know, most of the ones that they really sing, they don't know. And then they sing and you go like, anyway, but that's a different thing, you know. I even forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, the germs. Yeah, but it is right there, like, you know, Allemand. They still say it in French. What is this thing? Here.
And that philosophy has come down over time, and we see how effectively they have implemented it throughout history. Now, when they pretended to embrace Judaism, they drew upon the real Jews for some education, and they used the Hebrew alphabet as phonics to codify their Khazar language. And so now we look at that language called Yiddish or Jiddish and find that it is not Hebrew. It only appears to be. Now these people,
I heard Hebrew is Greek. Somebody was saying it the other day.
Over time, in
That's
965
the
AD, they were overrun by the Varganians, which was Swedish-ruled Slavic people. Varganian is the Russian word for Vikings. And they were militarily defeated, which curbed their expansionist philosophy for some time. And then in 1140, they were literally overrun by the Mongols for Kublai Khan and Genghis Khan. And they were driven down into Eastern Europe. Their monarch, the king, or Chagan as he was called, fled to Spain and Portugal. Now,
but he's not saying, you know, why they got kicked out of Georgia. Georgia, I understand that's where Caesarea used to be. You know, because Russia didn't want to have, you know, the pizza. They told them, you know, you gotta stop that practice. All the human, you know, slaughter, you know, to get all the perks. And, you know, I remember now that I also heard, you know, a while back and I just forgot where, who, how, but it was like the banking system. The banking system is satanic. It got revealed to them by one of these spirits, I guess Baal or whatever, So therefore, like Switzerland have to be, kept out of the spotlight, because that's where everything is at. What do you think of the $32 trillion? Now they call it national debt. National debt, you took it. It's like, come on. They make it all public debt. We had that in Mexico. We had what's it called? Fuck, is that a gay flag? The fuck is a gay flag over there? I didn't even see it. You see all subliminal shit. Is it in the house? I guess somebody's house. These helicopters annoy me. I lost my train of thought. I have ADD anyway.
Now, because these folks were a darker skinned people with black hair and brown
African.
eyes, it was easier for them to fit in.
African. They're African. We're so scared to say, these Palestinians are African. And they got afros and everything. Come on. We have one in Mexico City. She's supposed to be the leading candidate for 2024. And she had the pictures when she used to be young. She used to have an afro. And now she's relaxers. And she's half. She's half Nazi and she's half Sephardi, whatever.
Fit in with the folks of Spain and Portugal
Mulatto.
and Italy and Sicily than they could other places where they stood out and looked markedly different. And they took a great deal of control, especially in Spain and Portugal. So much so that they were discovered in conspiracy, because they worked together to get themselves, one of them, into a position of authority where that person can work in tandem with others to get more of their people in authority and positions of power, and working it up to where they're running the show and milking everybody else. After they fled down into Europe, there was one of them, a guy by the name of Meyer Amschel Bauerberg, who decided to enter into clandestine world government. Meyer Amschel Bauerberg used the symbol outside of his father's silversmith shop, a large red shield, as inspiration for an alias. And he went by the name of Rothschild. That's German language for red shield.
Rothschild, never meant to be. Oh no, that's Love Child. No, never mind.
Now Rothschild was born in 1743, and when he was in his late 20s, he formulated a financial enterprise with 12 other entrepreneurs with the dedication, with the interest and the intent of conquering everybody and everything. They were going to do it with fractional reserve banking, and that turned out to be a very successful tool.
I think that was him.
We found out about fractional reserve banking at the Bank of Amsterdam in 1610 when, like all fiat money inflation, it came to a roaring bust. And they learned from that and wanted to implement it wherever they could so that they could be the ones that benefited from that enterprise. Now, Meyer Amschel Bauerberg had 5 sons, and he took these 5 sons, and as they became of age, he sent them to foreign countries to operate not an independent, banking system, but one in conjunction with the rest of their people. A system whereby Nathan, who went to London and soon proved himself to be shrewd. There was one named Kalman who passed himself off as Carl, and I think he went to Amsterdam. Jacob called himself James at Paris. And we find that throughout the world, in 5 big locations, they had banking institutions that had a very clever idea. And if these people weren't so evil, it would have been easier to admire what they did. But they had a system whereby you could go to one of the banks in one country and deposit gold with them and get a receipt for it. And then go to the foreign country where they had another office, take that receipt and get your gold. And you didn't run the risk of losing your gold on the high seas.
It sounds about white.
Either to wind or to pirates or anything else. So in a way it was kind of a clever scheme. However, these people were despicably evil, and their intent to make money was to not just put themselves for their head, but to hold others back. Now, Meyer Amschel Bauerberg lived to be, he lived from 1743 to the year 1812, and that's why we got that 1812 overture, was to honor him. His associates respected him and wanted to salute his passing.
Megalomaniac. That's the only song I used to like.
Changed his
from
name
the 90s.
to Rothschild.
Megalomaniac.
And he also dropped the Bauerberg suffix and called himself Bauer, closer to home where he lived there at 148 Judenstrassen in Frankfurt, Germany. They later moved down to 148 Judenstrassen, and it was from there that he was able to do much of his chicanery. And he got in league with a guy, William the Ninth of Hesse-Kassel. Now, if you remember about the Hessian warriors were something that were warrior slaves that was purchased by the King of England from this Landgrave of Hesse-Kassel. They were purchased for the price of $12,000, and much of that money was earned by just capturing these people through actual out-and-out brigand slavery and holding them until they could be sent to the king, and which they were told, don't ever let those colonists get a hold of you. They will skin you alive. Well, when the Hessian soldiers got captured by one of us, one of our forefathers, they started crying, "Oh, please don't skin me." And I said, "Well, skin you? We're not going to do that." Then they realized they'd been lied to. Many of them came over and joined the revolutionary forces of the Americans, and a lot of them escaped out to the west and melded in and became...
I forgot to tell you, you got black skin only.
What we might call squatters out there in the wide open west like the rest of us did. Now, they did a pretty good job of interfacing with the Native Americans out there, and
anyway, now he's going all over the place. No, but he wasn't him. No, but the whole idea of the Usher, you know, that they're talking like even in the Bible, and it's forbidden by God, you know, Usher. You know, I mean, that the whole idea, that was such a sick, perverted scam. You know, it's like a game, you know, like whatever, you know, and they're like, and people get excited, people get in it, but they don't know that it's like a casino, you know. All the dice are loaded, whatever. All the cards are marked, and you know, I mean, it's an impossible thing, you know. You have to be a psychopath, you know, to put all this shit in the fine print. And I mean, it's crazy, you know, how, you know, I finally I went to open a checking account, and oh my god, they gave me a whole book I'm supposed to read. I'm like, uh-oh, I just better be very, very careful. I better not touch it. I'm just gonna leave it like that, because if you do something, I mean, imagine just how many traps are hidden in that book. Oh well, anyway, I'm like, we made it to minute 12. We still have 52 more minutes to go. It's a long lecture, but I thought he was going to talk about the whole thing, how they. Oops, I hit the wrong one. I wanted to get it off the Bluetooth. Yeah, I need like a break of thinking about these things. I feel like I mean, it feels good to connect the dots, because I mean, if you're gonna come out with whatever, I guess I call it like a thesis, right? You have to have the hypothesis, you have to have the synthesis, and you have to have whatever, I don't know, whatever, the bullshit that they're talking about. But it's like, well, I just feel like for myself, if I speak about something, I want to have the receipts, and it feels good when like you get all these testimonies, and I mean not testimonies, like, because he wasn't there, but I mean, like, we know there's something, and like I'm telling you, I watched the Small Hats. The Small Hats. They have like 3-hour presentations, saying like, that's not us. We are not casers. We are like blah blah blah. Just like yeah, right. Yeah, technicalities. The language. Malcolm X called it the language of liars. I mean, it's true. I mean, like, we learn now that before the rise of the Neanderthals, the whole world spoke, I mean, so to speak, because that's a Western shit too, but it was all telepathic, it was sign language, and yes, you use words, whatever, but it was all part of it, and you could not separate either one. To have a effective communication, you had to have telepathic too. This is how you can present, hey, this is what I'm talking about. So, and now it's just like, you gotta read. Oh, reading that. It's like, reading what? It's like you tell me, you gotta eat. Well, okay, what am I gonna eat? I mean, that crackery, GMO, MSG, sugar. Oh, wish it was sugar. Now it's high fructose. All this crap, I mean, that's what you want me to eat. But people, they don't, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You're gonna watch a show. I think, I mean, all this stuff I post later, I mean, I post them and I watch them and I listen, but with a perspective, still coming from a Neanderthal. And yes, these lectures and every presentation, it was made for other Neanderthals. It wasn't made for myself, people like myself. It wasn't made for brown or black people, so to speak, because that's how they call us, right? You know, it wasn't meant for POC. You know, like it was like, you know, that's what if I'm gonna waste my time, I'm gonna be listening to something that was not made for me. Because if I was to sit down and talk to me, I mean, I have in the past. Oh my God, it's like propaganda machine, you know, blah, 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 blah. I used to have this guy who was like, oh my God. And I will beat him every time. I will beat him. And like I could keep saying like, no, 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 no. He's from Tennessee, you know. I mean, like, had the nerve to put it as an example, you know. We don't pay taxes, you don't have shit. You know, people, you have, you know, I mean, I don't even want to get into it, but I have to say this because I don't want people to say like, you know, this bitch live in a bubble or whatever. No, I think I have gone the whole spectrum, the whole whatever, the whole circuit, just like everybody else, except that a lot of people, they get stuck at the beginning, you know, like, okay, so yeah, we all started with television in July, television, and now the children are with these things, the gadgets, and it's a mess because they talk to you like, you know, this is a fact, I saw it on my gadget. It's like, well, I don't see that garbage on my gadget. They're like, but you gotta go to like, you know, not even engage in like whatever. Who paid for that? Who produced it? Who belonged that portal, that news portal? Who like? I mean, I don't consume any of that. I mean, of course I do, but I mean, at least not straight from them. I don't give them one single view. I don't give them one single click. I don't give them traffic. I don't share those things. You know, just on principle alone. Why am I going to be like, you know? I mean, once in a while, you know, like nowadays you end up sharing Tucker Carlson. I mean, like, just because, you know, like, I mean, like, come on. I mean, I did see the footage from January 6th. What you gotta say about that? It was like, it never happened. Shit never happened. Nobody saw it. Nobody saw. I have told people, you know, you saw Tucker Carlson came out with video from inside the Capitol, and they're like, no, they don't care. They don't care. Just like January 6th, this, January 6th, that, and they see all this incriminating shit. You know, you see how Pelosi rejected, you know, the military or whatever she should have got, and she didn't want it. And she was like, she don't want it. They're like, they wanted to cook something, the Bastille Day. That's what they wanted to, like, you know. Now we know, like, Bastille, the taking of the Bastille. I mean, it was like, was it really that, or was it January 6th? You know, that's the thing, because, you know, I feel like I'm living in a way in privileged times when I got to see them in real time, you know, the COVID, you know, the 19, the whatever bullshit unveiled, you know, to tell the truth. I mean, like, I'm not even taking my meds. I'm off my meds. Can you tell? No, I never taken psychiatric meds. I'm not that stupid. There was a time that I wanted them. I was demanding them because I was feeling so bad. I was feeling like horrendously. I don't even know what the hell that was, a spell or something, you know. And I did try them. You got to try them for at least 6 months. Oh my God, that was like, my own father, he said, like, you know, that shit is like, he would send me, you know, articles and stuff, and it was like, I was like, okay, so I'm like, that's not the solution. But when you're feeling so much pain and stuff, you know, just like, I wanted to try, you know, and some of them I tried them twice because I wanted to work so bad. It was like, now I'm forgetting the names of the pills. I don't know. You gotta. I even tried Zoloft because that was the first one. Because I went to a study with the rat skins at Columbia Presbyterian. I think they're still there. That couple. And I did a study, and that shit didn't work. Whatever they was giving me, and they said we can give you Zoloft. We got samples. So they gave me a bunch of things. I tried it like 6 months. Nothing. Oh my god, it was like, oh my god, the names are gone. The names are gone. Like, I got it like, no, I don't remember. You know, the last one gave me these severe panic attacks. Severe. It wasn't, it was my older sister. She would call me at least twice a day. And I mean, I was doing yoga every day, going to classes of yoga. That was the only thing that would buy me like 2 hours. So I don't even want to think about that. That was horrendous. That was horrendous. You know, the stomach was like, just panic. What the hell? It's like, I still go like, what the hell triggered that shit? And then I told one of my therapists, because back then I used to have like, and I think that's what it was. That's what it was. You know, one psychiatrist told me, you know, it's because you unpack too much shit at once. Because she says like, you are in a garage and you want to clean it up, and then you go like, oh yeah, this is to take everything out. Then you turn around and you see piles, and you freeze. You freeze because, you know, it's like, what am I going to do? You know, and you're like, oh, it's late, whatever. Now it's, all the shit is going to be out there. It's raining, whatever. You know, you start. I think that's what happened to me, and like, and I had therapists, and none of these therapists warned me about that. It was like kind of like they wanted me to go through that. None of the therapists told me, hey, a warning, we're gonna work one thing at a time, and we're gonna put it back. What is that? Oh my god. I don't know what's going on. There's like 2 little lines of fine print. I don't know. This was horrible times, you know. Oh, and one of the therapists said, you know, Housing Works, he said that, you know, that you should take a year or 2 years. It's like, you know, what? I cannot stay like that another day. You know, this panic attack. It's like, you know, I was even in the train, and I was like, just like stiff, like, oh my god, it's just no. 6 months. 6 months. I'm like, oh god, thank you god. You know, I think that's one of the most things I'm proud of. You know, and then I learned there's people, they live like that every day for their life. People, they be like that. It's like, oh, no wonder there's so many people, there's such, and they just, I don't know if it's true. I don't know. I mean, there's no way you can live like, it's not 100, it was like 10,000. Anxiety, fear, panic. We'll talk about, where we're just talking about PAN, right? And it's like, wow, they should love that guy, that spirit, whatever, PAN, you know, like, it's like everywhere they have like a little reference. Oh, it got the go away. I don't know. Okay, you know, one of these things, I don't even know which one. I watched so much shit. I was talking about Star Wars and how they go like this. How they do that, whatever. And it's like, you say, where's that shit come from? From a goat. They're doing a goat's leg. You go like, what? It's too much. I mean, like, this is when you're like, I don't know. Is it true? I mean, could it be that? And he's a small hat. The actor's a small hat. And he say he did it because he saw it like, I don't know. That's how I always see. Even before the Nazis, you know, the Ashkenazis, whatever, there was already worshiping goats, worshiping like whatever, you know. I mean, the video I uploaded last year, I think it was last year, on Diana in Hollywood, the holy tree, all this stuff, and that is a lot of coincidence. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm gonna look it up more. You know, to see the Hollywood in Italy, but they look very, very alike, and it's just like, whoa, that's just a coincidence, right? It's just how you go the Hollywood Hills, and it's like they have, except that in Italy they have a lake, Diana's Mirror, and instead of a lake they have Hollywood. You know, it's just coincidence. I don't know. It's like, who's lying? Who's saying the truth? Who's lying? Like, you know, they're like, I mean, I've been hearing about Hollyweird for a long time, but I didn't know exactly, you know, what it was. But they sure are superstitious. Oh, let me show you a picture I found. Was it here? Oh, no, I think it was in the, you know, they're giving tablets and phones in the street. You know, because they know they need to up the mega data, the data mining. Where is the screenshots? No. Super big. JP Morgan lays out plans to get even bigger.